Alright, when we first turn on the ignition, the first thing you'll hear is a big clunk, and that's going to be the contactor pulling in the 72 volts. Now if you notice, the voltmeter shows us 78 volts. That's because once fully charged, the 6 12-volt batteries actually has a little bit more than the 72 volts. We also, since we haven't built our instrument cluster yet, we've got our fuel gauge here, which basically shows that we have a full tank, which basically is just rated on the voltage of the battery pack. Up here we've got our standard speedometer, but where the tachometer used to be, we've got an amp meter. And as we're driving along, you'll be able to see the needle swing up and show us how many amps. The particular controller we're using goes up to 400 amps. So as we're driving along, you'll see the actual amps that are going through the motor. Alright, we're already on. There's no noise, but we'll take off the emergency brake, put it in reverse, and start to go. Put it in first gear, press down the gas pedal. It's a pretty brisk acceleration at first. When you get ready to shift to the next gear, you basically just let off the gas and shift. Come up to a stop sign, we'll come to a complete stop. Put it in first gear again. When you get ready to shift, simply let off the gas, pull it in the next gear. And as you can see, the amp gauge actually goes up and down, and you can kind of change your driving habits so that you're actually pulling less amps to get further range. Another stop sign here. First gear, we'll go through the school parking lot and turn around. Even downshifting's not hard. Just put it back in a second. Around, pull back out on the road. The torque of the electric motor comes in a lot earlier than what you would with an internal combustion engine, where it normally has to have higher RPMs to generate more horsepower. I would rate the electric motor similar to like the difference between a V8 pickup and an old pickup, say a straight six engine, where you actually shift a little earlier than you do with a V8 because the torque curve comes in sooner. As you can see, driving around town, it drives really well, like a normal car, other than the fact that it's a 1985 model, and since it's been sitting in the field for 10 years, it's in desperate need of a paint job and some other tender loving care. Also, the ride's a little bit bouncy because of all the weight in the back. We've actually got a lot more weight on the rear end than is normal, and actually less weight on the front end. Although that does make it easier to steer without power steering. One other accessory that's not on this car is power brakes at the moment. However, we are working on a vacuum booster. Since there is no motor to create vacuum for the power brake booster like there is on an internal combustion engine, we've actually got a vacuum pump that we're going to run off a 12-volt motor to feed a vacuum reservoir to feed the power brake booster. When the sensor picks up that the canister is low on vacuum, it'll actually click on a relay and it'll cause the vacuum pump to come on and create more vacuum for the power brakes. So you actually won't have the pump running all the time, because every ounce of electricity we've got, or I should say every watt of electricity, is valuable in a car, and we want to make sure we're not running when it's not necessary. We should have that system up and running in the next few days, which will make driving a lot easier, because it'll be a lot easier to stop with the power brakes. But the car is a ball to drive, and I would recommend for anyone who has a little bit of experience fabricating things, especially if you can weld, to build your own and save tons of money on fuel.